Everyday sniper. You got Frank at Snipers Hide and CR2 dudes.
What's up?
What's going on? We are up and running. Howdy, everybody. Welcome to the Hide TV Live. I was going to check and see. I just want to make sure we're in like YouTube because that's like the crazy one.
Yeah.
I'll just look really fast and then it'll see if it simuled us. Yes, it's all good, dude. We are there.
All right, cool.
So we're all simulcast
Nice.
and ready to go. Let me see if the eCam, like the chat for that, will work. I'm not sure if the comments or chat because I'm not through eCam. And where we? Oh, there's.
Okay.
Oh, there it. I got my chats up. There
Nice,
we go.
nice.
Audio.
Perfect.
All right. Hello, all. All right, everybody. We're up and high and on with Chris from CR2. I like putting CR2 dude on stuff when you're around. I like even laying
That's
this
right.
one like
CR2 dude.
I do. I really like CR2 dude.
That's what I log in as anytime. It's actually even with school now. My thing on my was it avatar and all that stuff is just CR2 dude.
Nice. And like, because I was talking with Phil and he was on 2 weeks ago or about a week and a half ago, whatever it was. He's doing the cinema stuff too. So if you look at his cadre stuff, it's all cinematic now.
Mhm.
And he's doing a
Oh,
much
yeah.
nicer job than me. You know, the bitch is because I started off with like handy cam cameras and they didn't have that.
Right.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
didn't have that cinematic effect. You know, so now I'm bummed because everybody can do the cinematic now, even with your phone.
Yeah, man. You gotta step your game up.
I do. I'm trying to step my game back, but the reality is I have to step my game up before I could step it back. But yeah,
You know
so
what's crazy is is you could do so much just with an iPhone these
yes.
days. I've got these thousands and thousands of dollars in cameras, and my school just sent me that one for what I'm doing in this program. And it's funny because they still have us doing a bunch of stuff on our phone, and they're even like, well, hey, download this app for your phone so that way you can do all like the manual settings and whatnot. And they're like, and just so you know, like even as you go throughout this program, you're still going to be using your phone for a ton of shit.
Yep.
Just as long as you can activate the manual settings on your phone, there's just so much you can do that as long as you don't need all the crazy depth of field that you would get from all these fancy lenses and everything else, like your phone's going to do it.
Right. And like I don't know if
No.
you saw the video I did with Chris's son August, the Daisy one.
Yeah.
I was all on my phone because why? I wanted the slow motion. So when he was shooting the little
Yep.
cowboys and Indians, you want him to hit and the phone's got the best slow motion.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, is a lot of times you don't even have to put in a fancy setting. You can just record it and then bring it back into slow mo because the phone's already doing it.
Right. It's pretty awesome.
Where if I do it with my camera and I'm not purposely in slow mo, and I try to slow it down, it's going to look like trash. Oh man,
very cool.
Yeah, it's wild, but I think we need it though. I think our industry is getting lame, So
yeah,
it's good that more and more of us are trying to elevate it this way because if not, it's going to get boring. It's going to get stale.
And it was interesting today too because we're talking about getting stale. We tend to do a lot of like these long form podcasts and these long form conversations. And I saw today where people were talking about like it was more of a Republican Democrat thing, but their narratives, they're scripted and they do things where a lot of people agree, where we tend to disagree on minor stuff and tend to do unscripted long form. So we're much more nimble.
Yeah. So I'm going to share this over to my
Yeah, I
page.
didn't know if it was that, but yeah, at some point we'll talk guns in a second, but we're just kind of chatting for the first couple minutes. Guns, right?
What
guns.
Are those?
What are guns? I got guns on my shirt. That's all I need. So yeah, but yeah, so it's just one of those things where it's funny that what will resonate. Let me just make sure there's nobody on the lives. And
There we go.
there we go. I wanted to
There we
make
go.
sure
It's
nobody was
shared.
on. That nobody. I was just
Look
because
at
the chat for like YouTube, I don't think will come through here, so I just wanted to double check the chat. Just to make sure I
that. Oh
wasn't
yeah, I don't
answer.
know.
Yeah, no biggie. But hey, what do you? I know I've been working on some stuff.
Do I need to put my promotional material in here?
Oh, there you
So that
go.
way, maybe Monster will sponsor this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you could do this. Like, here's will promotion be like? Oh, but there it is. Promotional. We'll like right there. I gotta try to find it. Doing things backwards in the camera is weird.
Oh no, I was trying to point at the camera back there, but it's like
Yeah, because I cut
which
us
side
off.
is it on?
But no, I've been I'm getting ready, been out the range. We had a couple breaks in the weather. We got weird weather. You know what I mean? It's that end of
Oh
winter
yeah,
for Colorado. We end up with a 60-degree
right.
day, then it snows, then it's 60,
Mm-hmm.
then it snows. And so I've been putting together that hunting rifle I showed you. It's kind of like you have one just like it. That was your Valkyrie. Wasn't your Valkyrie in the hunting 26?
What? Well, I did.
Yes. Well, that didn't like your brother-in-law, somebody buy it, whoever it was.
No, but students can't stop buying my guns. That's the problem I
Yes.
have.
Yes.
I'll go to a class and then a student will be like, "I want that gun. I want that exact gun," and I'm like, "That's just here.
Yeah,
You can
buy it.
have it, and I'll build another one." Like I'm not sentimental when it comes to firearms in any way, shape, or form. So like just and that's how I usually finance my next firearm is I
Yes,
sell
but
one
get
and
rid
then I
and
go build the next one.
that's a fun way to do it too, though, is to sell one and then build a new one and then sell one and build a new one.
Hmm.
It makes life a lot easier. But yeah, so Walt out here at Cameo, Walt runs for the state, the Cameo shooting complex, and he
Yeah,
he does his Western Hunter.
right.
And so we see the stages. We've both been up there in the red, white, and blue
Hmm.
pins. Yeah, all of that.
Yep,
Because
yep,
so March 22nd, he has a competition for that. Like he blew it out bigger. He sent invites to a bunch of
yep.
people. And so I'm going, and as long as Chris is in the country, because he's not right now, he'll be there. And so it's the time plus hits, blind stage, the
Hmm.
200, 400, 600-yard target. It's variations to 2, variations to
Yeah.
4
Hmm.
deals. So I have a Terminus Apollo Light Hunter
Hmm.
with a Bartland carbon fiber barrel,
Hmm.
added an MDT 4-part brake, their comp brake, the green and black
Okay.
to
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah.
It's in 6.5 PRC, which I'm getting the ammo from you.
Of
And
course.
yep, already start. I get all my ammo from Chris, man. Chris is the place to get ammo. He's the hidden
I do what I
secret.
can.
Yeah. Well, honestly, your shooting cage, you have the perfect products. It's like
Well, that's what I tailored it for that. I
yeah,
mean, I sell what my customers use or what I use. I don't really sell anything else.
exactly. So it's
That
like
was the whole genesis of the supply cage.
it's been like 4 times I'm like, I need this. You have it. It's like,
Hmm.
I need this. You have it. But so I
Hmm.
put that guy together. 6.5 PRC. I changed scopes 4 times,
Yeah.
trying to find the one that in that setup, knowing I'm going to be doing a competition, knowing there's going to be the alternate positions in time, that
Hmm.
gave me an eye box that my brain liked.
So
And
what'd you end up with?
the Zeiss 4 to 24.
Ooh, so I was gonna say 4 to 24, but I wasn't gonna say Zeiss. Well, I was gonna say something in that 24 power range, but
I
I
I
was wondering if you were gonna end up with the Mark IV.
yes, I put it together to do because I have the 6 to 24 and it's really
Mhm.
light. And I
Oh,
did
yeah.
move that, and that was one of them I checked. And it
Mhm.
was fine. There wasn't really any problem. I was a little happier with the Zeiss on a millimeter. And the reason I did it this way,
Mhm.
I had a 4 to 16 Night Force on it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted a touch more resolution
Yeah.
because I'm going to hold the first
Sure.
two
Sure.
targets. I'm going to hold
Mhm.
low on the first, high on the second, and then range the third.
Yeah.
So I wanted to resolve the target a little tiny bit better.
Sure.
And then
Yeah, and that 24 power is gonna give you a little more.
yeah, and the eye box was the nicest, to be honest. It was the one where if I kind of moved my head around, I lost it the least. It was the
Mhm.
most forgiving and all that. And I was even surprised. I thought the 4 to 16 would have been, I think because it's the smaller objective one, it was a little pickier because there is one of the Night Force 4 to 16s that's got a bigger objective. And I don't have that one.
Mhm.
I have like the tiny one. And so it
Yeah.
it got a little picky for me for that. But I originally was shooting the Norma 143 Golden Eagle
Mhm.
or Golden Target, I think they are, whatever they are.
Yeah, golden target,
Yeah,
yep.
and then I was running low on that, contacted you. You were talking the ELDMs, the Precision Hunter.
ELDX.
Right, the X, that's it, the
ELDX.
LDX, the Precision
Yep.
Hunters. I had 8 boxes that I had gotten from you, and I ran those through and zeroed it up and tried it. They shot better for what I'm gonna need than the Norma. The Normas are very consistent, but honestly, they're
Mhm.
not much faster than a Creedmoor.
No, no, that's the one thing about the Norma that is just other than the 130 grain 6.5 Creedmoor,
Mhm.
Norma is consistently slower than
Right.
than anything else in its class. Now it gives pretty good numbers. It's very consistent. You know, I haven't found Norma that doesn't group well,
Exactly.
but it's consistently slower.
Yes.
You
And
know, that's the thing.
what it's gaining me going from the Norma to the Hornaday, same bullet weight, 143 on the Norma, 143 on the Precision Hunter. I'm
Yep,
getting at whatever the distance was
like
I shot.
150, right?
Yeah, it was a 1.5 mils. At
Yeah,
like 1,400 yards, I think I shot that plate, and it was a crazy number. It's hard to remember because Chris did the same thing, and we were doing it, and it matched up. But yes, it was at 1,000, so it was like 1.5 mil different at 1,000, and the Hornaday was flatter. Now this comp doesn't go past 600, so it's like, well, what's the big deal? But at the
the
same,
big deal is you're at 2.5.
yeah,
You're at 2.5 for 600. That's what the big deal is.
exactly.
You
So
know?
yeah, it gives me that flatter, it's easier, and then my holds, if I have to transition, I'm hoping everything is I don't expect to miss much. It's gonna be more the time penalty.
Yeah,
Um, how long it takes you to against everyone else. But,
sure.
I still like I said, I wanna be able to see, I wanna because it's cameo, you can go in a crack, you might not
Yep.
get the dirt. It might be a rock, and so you might
Mhm.
not get the visual. And then the funny thing is I put the Mars on it because the Mars and putting it all
Mhm.
together, I'm inside the weight. So the weight in
Yeah,
the big game division for PRC is 13 pounds. That's max.
yeah.
And without the Mars unit, I'm at exactly 12. But then I go look, I went
The Mars is 8. It's 7.6 ounces.
yeah, but the rule I went after I mounted it up. The rule says you can't use a friggin' mounted laser.
Oh, I remember that because that was part of the whole, uh, controversy, was it like 2 years ago now or something, when Walt started that series. Everybody was like, oh, because you couldn't use tripods and you
Right.
couldn't use weapon mounted laser rangefinders and all that nonsense, and people were freaking losing their minds and stuff about it. Yeah, I remember that now.
Yeah, so I didn't realize, like, I knew the tripods and I knew the bags,
uh
which I should show you my solution. So I have a Kafaru E&E bag,
yep. Hmm.
and I have a tab tall rear bag.
Yep.
If I
Hmm.
drop that tab rear bag into the bottom of the Kafaru, it almost fits perfectly across the very bottom of that pack.
Hmm.
Because you can't use rear back or game changers or tripods, like you said, but you could use your
Right.
pack. Well, all I really need
Right.
for my pack, because I'm going to have a chest rig for my binos, is ammo and then a drink.
Sure.
So also the E&E has a false wall to put the straps and stuff in it so you can kind of mount it
Okay.
if you
Yeah.
wanted.
Hmm.
If
Hmm.
I put Mark's rear bag down the false wall, two of them fit perfect, like a back
Yeah.
brace almost. So I have three rear bags in it, and it holds that rifle perfect. I like threw it on something,
Yeah.
and I incorporated the rear bag into the bag. And they're heavy
Hmm.
sand ones, so they're full. And so
Hmm.
they work perfect, and they're not super heavy because they're like maybe a pound and a half more because they're just rear bags.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is people have been shooting off of their rucksack or their hiking pack or whatever else for, forever, since
Yes.
shooting's been shooting. I mean, that's just how you did it. I mean, that's a standard shooting position. Whether and if you set up your bag correctly, I mean, you can go prone off that thing, you can go seated off that thing, you can go low kneeling. I mean, you can even strap it to a tree and go standing. I've seen that. So, I mean, that's no sweat right there.
And I have a
You know?
yeah, I'm bringing the sling for it. I grabbed a Jacob sent me a rifles only bungee with the quick zips.
Yeah.
So it's the patrol carry chicken wing,
Hmm.
you know, jelly bean
Yeah.
pack that I'll be using. And so that's going to be the ruck that I'm going to use for
Nice.
yeah, or
Nice.
for the pack. And so yeah. I've been setting it up and getting it ready. Now I just have to I doped your rifle off with gravity ballistics or your ammo, the ELDX. And I'm just got the last thing I'm gonna do is I have the Vector X's behind me. I have to set up the software for the
Mhm.
Vector X's. I have it in the Garmin, so the laser can go to the Garmin for that last plate if I need a number. I mean, it's like you said, it's inside 600. I'm not going to be dialing over 3.
Right.
And if it's 585, I take 2/10 off my 600. If it's,
Right.
so I don't even really need a ballistic calculator for this because I know my dope in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm going with that.
No, that should be good. That should be real good. Yeah, I mean, so the first year of NRL Hunter, when the finale was held out there at Cameo, I brought a 6.5 PRC, and I had some issues with it the first day, but then got it fixed. Second day went out, and it was one of those things where it was like, man, if I wouldn't have had those issues, woulda, shoulda, coulda, of course, right? But if I wouldn't have had those issues and could have shot the first day like I shot the second day, I mean, I probably could have won the match because I think I dropped a target the second day. And Creed or PRC is the answer, especially at Cameo. I mean, you can get out to good distance out there, but that Creedmoor, or sorry, Creedmoor. I shoot so much Creedmoor. The PRC is just, I mean, it's so flat, it's so fast, it does so good in the wind, you know. uh, that it's just it's gonna crush. And then yeah, at 600 and in, I mean, that's a no brainer. That's a
Yeah.
no brainer.
Yeah. I mean, and
Yeah.
I get it. Like I said, I'm not. I don't even know. We've been to Cameo enough. I know Walt's like his thing, and they're putting a different time pressure because before it was that hits to move on plus time is how they explained it to us, and now I guess
Yeah.
there's a par time you have to be under. So I don't remember what the par time is. But they added the par time unless it was already there. We just never used it.
Hmm.
Because we didn't always I don't know about you guys because you had gone to Cameo separate as well. But
Yeah.
like when Chris and I go to Cameo, we'll use Walt's stages, but we don't use them. We don't run Walt's rules.
Yeah. It's, I mean, more or less. That's just about how we do it.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually pretty excited because I'll be out there um, the weekend after that match. So I'm hoping for the most part everything's still pretty well set up
It
because
should be,
then we'll have
yeah.
some pretty good. Yeah, we'll have some pretty good stages set up, especially for our last day when we go out into the terrain park and shoot mock stages all day.
Yeah, and that's the fun part. I mean, just to be able and having that variety. And I don't know what they've done to clean up some of the plates because I know after last summer and all that, there was a couple plates down and they had broke a bunch of plates up. You'll see
Hmm.
the stems and everything are up, but there's no plates hanging. So I don't know if
Yeah.
in the off season if they're able to go and clean that up a bunch. But because he's having this match, they're adding money every week. He keeps texting or emailing the competitors that there's more money added to the prize. So we'll see what work they're doing. I sponsored the Porta Johns for the state.
Well, I mean, it makes sense really if you think about it.
Yeah, they're gonna brand the Porta Johns the hide, and so I,
Yeah.
I sponsored all the Porta Johns for the match.
Well, if you ask around, a lot of people would probably say you're full of shit. So
You're right. Totally full of shit. Yeah, yeah. So it was funny because Walt was like, I was like, hey, well, I want to sponsor and something, and he was like, well, you could do the shitters. I'm like, yeah, okay, that sounds great.
yeah, yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny.
Well, here's the problem with that is that's one of the number one things people are going to complain about if they're fucked up. So I mean, this could be a good or a bad thing for you to sponsor them because if they drop the ball on these things,
Yeah,
it's going
but
to come back
I
on
mean,
you.
Cameo's pretty good because it's state run and contracted. It's not like
Yeah,
you're going to Bob's range, which is a thing because I've heard of matches in the past and big ones where people are like the
yeah,
Porta
didn't
John.
have enough toilet
Yep, no
paper.
toilet paper. The
Hmm.
Porta John's overflowing. This is a problem. Not enough of them. The girls are
Yeah.
complaining. Yeah, so I totally get where you're going. That you can run into a big
Hmm.
problem with a Porta John at a
Yeah,
match.
we'll
Yeah.
have to do an AAR afterwards. See how it went.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a survey. How were the shitters at Frank's match?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll even call it that too. So that way, if it goes real bad, we'll just put straight up
Oh
Frank's
shit. Yeah. So
match.
if it's a bad match, it's Frank's match, and if it's a good match, it's Walt's match. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah,
That's pretty funny.
yeah. Oh
He's
man,
saying, Jacob's. I'm trying to watch now, because like Facebook, everybody's talking. They're all laughing at us on Facebook. But Jacob just said, "I solve shit. I'm a
yeah.
problem. I'm a problem solver."
Well, yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I agree. I saw a problem, but I want to jump in because you guys, you just had your, was it the light fighter one you just had, or do you? I know you have different names with
Yeah,
stuff, but the light fighter
yeah.
stuff, because now we're into like 25 minutes and we got a bunch of people on. I'm hype. Oh my, that was loud. I'm hyper interested in your light fighter because in my mind, it's modern warfare.
Mhm, mhm.
Like we could talk about the rifle I put together and say that's a modern hunting rifle and we can break that down. But I'd rather go where you are because we watched warfare change almost overnight.
Okay.
You,
I
right,
agree.
yeah, right. You know what I mean? We went from all the raids and all the stuff we were doing in Iraq and Afghanistan. Then, like, we pull out of Afghanistan. Nobody ever sees the stuff the guys are doing now because it's all tiny and dynamic and kinetic or whatever they call it. They have a word for it. But anyway, we never see the evolution after the Iraq and Afghan wars ended. But we know what took place during that. Ukraine is completely
Yeah.
different.
Sure. Sure.
And
Sure. Sure.
that's led to the decisions that have been made, like which I'm going to tell you this is going to be a good one and you're going to like it, but led to the decisions like the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
think where in the past you have the training facilities and the places that are going to teach you marksmanship, they're going to teach you
Hmm.
shooting, they're going to teach you all those different things. We even have guys who teach a type of bushcraft with radios now. There's the guys who do the Baofungs who will take you out on a weekend and teach you all, especially your area. There's a lot of guys who are the guerrilla
Yep.
radio people. Chris does it, Rants. But I think
Yep.
what you're doing with the drone, with the light fighter, is unique in a way because it's the evolution of warfare, but it just happened yesterday and you're a training group doing it.
Hmm. Well, so I just want to be clear. The Light Fighter course is also Chris's genesis. So
Right.
um, I really, when we talk about it, we should, we should have him here in this
Well,
conversation.
we
But
could do it again, but I mean,
God only knows it.
just to touch on it, because absolutely, Rance is a huge driver. He's always been, even when he was still there. The drones, the 3D printing, all in the radio stuff he was doing, that was happening
Yep.
immediately when you guys left the sniper school.
Yeah.
Like the moment he
Right.
ended
Right.
that,
Right.
he jumped into what you're doing now.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah. So Chris is the huge driver behind us running the light fighter course. Obviously, he designed that course. He ran it initially. He ran a couple of those courses overseas, and he's our lead instructor. He's a lead instructor on that course for sure. Um, and with that course, it's the combination of drones, marksmanship, and radio communications. So the and it actually incorporates a few other things too, but the intent behind it is find, fix, and finish. Okay, because realistically, that's what we see on the modern battlefield is that approach to things. And if you think about it, I mean, it really derives back to our backgrounds, right? In the sniper community, is with long range reconnaissance, regular reconnaissance, even you know in the special operations world, you have special reconnaissance. That is the overall mission: is to find a target, fix it in place, and then eliminate it. So we've seen this battlefield evolve over the last few years. I mean, it's been evolving; it's constantly evolving, but it's been evolving really fast with what's going on in Ukraine and in Eastern Europe because of the incorporation of these assets. And honestly, the USA has really been behind on this, which is kind of crazy because if you think about Iraq, Afghanistan, we were incorporating UAS, but we really were very resistant on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I can think of our community, the sniper community. We push back on it hard because if we incorporated those things,
Yeah.
that meant that we weren't doing the sexy things that we wanted to do, and we didn't look at them as assets. We looked at them as you know um, uh, inhibitors.
Well,
And
and we
so
knew they had a potential of taking our job, and nobody wants to finance or promote the own removal of your job, which is kind of what happened with the Marine Corps. But instead of saying
yeah,
use it as an asset for the sniper team to extend our eyes, it was like,
right.
that's.
Well, and that's what I think that we always should have done was said, okay, well, rather than have this be the thing that eliminates us from doing our job, why don't we make ourselves the expert at it, and why don't we make it so that way we're the people who need to be employing it? Why
Right.
don't we sell ourselves as the guys?
Which,
Okay, so we're the guys that the commanders go to when he needs somebody employing that. So, and that's really where we sold ourselves short,
yeah, I mean,
because
state
we were
platoon
the
is surveillance and
yeah,
target acquisition. So that
hmm
says drone in its name. And
sure,
we
sure,
have a in the state platoon for the Marine Corps, there was a surveillance element. And so,
hmm
like, you guys are a little set up different than we are for that. But even the problem with the Marine Corps and why it fucked up so bad is the West Coast was the bigger driver, and they only did those sniper platoons, and they didn't do stay like we do. So it's not stay in California, it's stay in Camp Lejeune, but it's like SP
hmm
something in California. So I think
hmm
that's why we, at least the Marine Corps, missed the boat. You guys are set up a little different and like to itemize everybody. So I can see the Army missing the drone with the sniper, but I can see them adding the drone to the sniper. So sorry I cut you off, but I was,
yeah.
yeah.
No, no, no. You're fine. You're fine. Well, and really, so those UAS assets ended up just going down to the line platoons, and then ultimately they just ended up being not used. you know, because what ended up happening was, what we saw in Iraq and Afghanistan was, when our Ravens went down outside the wire, it was an asset that had to be recovered
Oh,
because it was a high
y-
dollar
yep,
asset. It was an
yep.
asset that had too much intelligence on it because it was stored local or whatever, and so you know it got to the point where if that thing went down, it now required its own mission to go be recovered, and so because it was a liability, we wouldn't use it,
Right. I get it.
and so even as UAS became developed over time, we were still shy to use it because it was a liability all of it itself. So when you look at what's going on in Eastern Europe, they're not using it like that. Partly because of electronic warfare is preventing them from having these assets that are um, that they can go recover,
Right,
because
right. You're
obviously
not
if
going to
you
go
were going
get
to
it. Right.
recover an asset, yeah, no, they're not going to go get it. But then they're also using them. They're using that
It's a
that
kamikaze
that
too,
UAS
right?
as
So because
yeah,
it
it's a
destroys
kamikaze.
itself, right?
Right, right. And they're using them in a layered approach. And I know it's much more complicated than that. Somebody's probably listening to this podcast and they're losing their mind because
No,
they're like,
no,
well,
but
this,
yes,
this,
we're
it's
oversimplifying
whatever.
it for sure. And
Sure.
there's a big drone that's watching everything, and then there's a bunch of little ones that. But I
Yeah.
mean, we did have the switchblacks and the switchback,
Switchblade. Hmm.
switchblade. We had those and a bunch of stuff, and even when we had gone to Oceanside, I met that Marine Corps unit guys. I met a corporal who's with that new
Right.
like island taking. They're the smaller part of the regiment. I don't know what they call them. Like I said, California.
Right.
I can't follow what they do there, but I met those guys, and they were saying they were going to be outfitted with drones that way, but they didn't have them and hadn't gone that far. And
Hmm.
he was like, well, they're going to depend on us running drones. And because I'm like, how are 25 of you guys supposed to hold this area? And that's where the dependence on all the over the horizon stuff, we're going to stick
Hmm.
somebody on the ground and, give them enough resource where we can send stuff to them that way. But I mean, it's going to be the matrix,
Yeah.
a drone for every dude. And the one drone's going to be like, your job is Frank. The other drone's going to be like, my job is Chris. And that's all they're going to do. And so,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and yeah. So ultimately, with the light fighter course, we're we're employing them to do, different mission types. So we're teaching our students how to do surveillance, different types of surveillance missions, whether it be survey missions. We're teaching them how to use them as just persistent surveillance. We're teaching them how to search hardened structures, potentially compromised structures, and then we're using them how to be used in both that law enforcement and military aspect, but then also in search and rescue aspects. Because obviously, not everybody who comes to our course is law enforcement or military. Some of them
Mhm.
are just civilians. Some of them, have been involved with search and rescue missions and stuff. So, we're kind of reaching a broader audience. It's not just a military and law enforcement audience. It's a broader audience. But you know, we're teaching them how to use that as an asset now, because for the longest time it just wasn't looked at it like that way. And it's not just about drones. That course is so much more than that. We're teaching marksmanship. We're teaching radio communications. They're employing ATAC on their end user devices, the Samsung phones and things like that. Learning how to send encrypted messages, um, things like that. So we're employing the Starlink now for that beyond line of sight communication. So it's a pretty comprehensive course, and guys are getting a lot out of it.
Yeah,
So
I just love
I
the
think,
way it's going and the way in the direction that it is and how fast you guys were able to go there, take it and really nail down a course based on those, radio, drone, marksmanship, and you guys just nailed it that way. Plus, I sent a couple image stuff over to Rants of like the drone technology where it's almost like the brain in the middle, and then they've Legoed the arms and prop stuff. So that way they're not as
mhm,
expensive, like you're talking about. They're able to fix something that breaks, or they can build them on the pieces and
mhm,
parts stuff. But I did notice there's a couple US companies that are smaller that are doing these modular drones that are specifically made for the type of work you're talking about, rather than repurposing a DJI and
yeah,
flex cuffing a bomb on it and sending it at somebody. They have these ones
mhm,
where it's more the center, and then it has the payload stuff that it needs, and then you can stick the arms based on how much weight it needs to carry, and then it just goes off of the brain in the center of the body and how much
yeah.
power it needs, because really it comes down to what power now, what's this going to carry, and then how far you want to
Well,
send it.
yeah. So obviously the motors, the prop size, battery life is huge. There's a few different variables. Um, but yeah, it's kind of we kind of base it off of the prop size. Um,
Okay, yeah, makes
so
sense. That they would
yeah,
have something that
but
measured it. Right, right.
mm, yeah, and he's building them here in the office. We got it's actually right next to the camera, but we've got the 3D printer in here. So he's always printing something off, trying something new, building a new dropper, building a new whatever. Um, so trying out new stuff in here. It's pretty cool.
Is there,
So
and this might be a weird, like I said, we should have probably need Rants in here, but you may is what is the switch to drop something? Do you have to put something else onto the unit and connect into it to make it drop? Like, how do they make it a
yeah,
bomb? Right, because I know how they make them
so
suicide drones, and they're basically just making a detonator with the wire. But like when you see them dropping a bomb, that's kind
yeah, yeah,
of
yeah.
the interesting thing to me, because it's like
So
they weren't really
I actually have
designed
one.
for that.
So I actually have one right here. Um, and this one here actually just goes right on a DJI drone, which is kind of cool, and you can just buy it. So um,
Yeah.
it just so this one here, you guys can see it just straps on to the bottom of the DJI drone. All right, you got skids, so when you land it, you can do that, and it's just got a servo underneath here that actuates an arm. Okay, when that arm right here moves far enough, it releases a little gateway there. And that is what will release whatever you have hanging from this dropper that's,
Yeah, yeah, it's just
around
right. It's just tape, basically
one
duct
of those
tape to your
drones.
drone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this is actually activated by the lights that are on the bottom of the drone. And you can see the sensor that's right here. Um, this sensor is activated.
Are you telling it how high off the ground you want it?
No,
Oh,
no. So there are lights on the bottom of these drones, and they're used for proximity, and they're used for when you're landing. Um, so
see, I had no
it's
idea.
really yeah. It's actually used as a safety feature for the drone
So you
itself.
tell the
But
DJI control to turn the light on, that sees it, and then it
yeah,
drops. That's crazy.
yeah. There's a button on the bottom of the controller that will turn the light on. That light actuates this sensor. That sensor moves this arm. This arm just goes out of the way, opens the gate, and the gate just drops. So, and yeah, it's pretty cool. This one fits a Mavic 3. It says so right on the bottom of it.
That's crazy.
And yeah, it'll fit right on that commercial, wherever it is, commercial DJI drone that's sitting right over there. And then Chris makes them here in the office, 3D prints them for all of the drones that he makes here in the office. From parts kits and stuff like that. Because
Yeah,
obviously those are all kinds of different sizes and whatnot. But yeah, it's pretty simple, pretty simple design, and then you can attach whatever you want to it. So obviously, over in Eastern Europe, they're attaching grenades, they're attaching RPG rounds, mortars, whatever the drone can lift. But from a search and rescue standpoint, you could attach water bottles, first aid kits. We've attached radios to them, so that way, if you need to send out a radio to an isolated personnel, that way, you can bring them a radio and tell them, hey, we're coming to
yeah,
get
yeah.
you.
We'll come get you. Yeah, no, that makes sense. There's so much you could do with a
Yeah.
drone, and it just it's
Hmm.
crazy. Skynet's here, man, and it just
Yeah.
is in
Yeah.
Terminator. Everything was metal. They forgot that we make
Yeah.
everything out of plastic.
Yeah, absolutely. We were actually an organization reached out to us that was doing some work over in Eastern Europe, and they were like, "Hey, can you guys help design?" Basically, they wanted a speedball to be able to mount to the bottom of these drones, so they could drop uh, uh, fluids.
Oh,
You know, for, so because the thing about it is, and I'm sure everybody who's watching this has seen those videos where those guys are in they're in the trenches getting blown up,
mm-hmm.
and so they can't always get a medic to them. And so they're like, hey, if we can get them their first aid materials, or not first aid at that
Yeah,
point in time,
yeah.
but their combat life saving, materials to them, then they can sustain themselves until we can get somebody to them. And so, part of that is getting them fluids.
That's
So
pretty crazy. And
they
I
wanted
just
to be able to.
saw with search and rescue, like for the mountains, using the
Hmm.
jetpacks too, the handheld jetpacks. And the dude
Yeah,
can
yeah.
just zoom right up the mountain rather than because sometimes I don't know if the drones have the same limitations with air like a helicopter. Like they can't fly a helicopter,
They
but I didn't know
they
it.
do, but it's pretty high. Like
Right, right.
even that even that DJI that's right there. You know, man, this one's not is it's not going to be as high as because this one's actually a few years old. Um, it's Mavic 3 Classic, but so that other one that I have over there in the corner is a little bit better even than this, and then they have some more that are better than this or better than that. But man, it's 5 or 7 thousand feet. Um, no, it's got to be more than that. So, but anyways, yeah, it's pretty high up there. Because if it was only 5,000 feet, it wouldn't be able to fly where you live.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's why I didn't, because there was always the conversation, what can they get up to Everest to rescue somebody there? And why there's like no, so I was
Yeah,
wondering, like, with the jet packs and the different things, it just seems crazy. But yeah, no, I'm I super dig it. I think the drone stuff is the future. I believe there's a lot going on, and I like that you guys went there. And it goes beyond the shooting, beyond the marksmanship. But we're looking at like the observation side. This match that I'm doing in
Sorry,
two
6,000 meters
me. Oh,
to
so yeah, they get plenty height.
20,000 feet.
Okay, but like the
20,000
match,
feet.
you know, it's that find it, range it, engage it, and that's part of that drone ecosystem is that find it. And so, we go into the
Yeah,
binos, we go into the range finders, we go into all that stuff to locate our targets and then to range them. So, it's hard to say. Um, but
I
I
might
don't
have
know.
to
I
switch
dig it.
my
I just think
headphones
it's
over here in
all.
a second.
I think it's all fun. I think it's all really cool shit to just play with and shoot. And who's that? Who's late to the party? Late to the party? Me, 100 grain. Oh, so one guy came in late, Matt, really quick. They're asking about the 100 grainers, and what it is we found with the Creedmoor is well. Here's the scenario. Chris wanted to. He's going to shoot an NRL hunter with just a sling. So I had told Chris to go
Yeah.
find the lightest ammo he could find. And at the time, I told him to go to Mile High and get the 123 grain Lapua. Well, when he went to Mile High, they had just come out with the Hornaday Varmint 100 grainers. So he got those. Well, in a 6.5 Creedmoor, like an AI, Laura's AI, they go 3,200 feet per second. And
Hmm.
we see a lot of the SDs today are high. Like the 6.5 PRC that I
Yeah.
got from you was good. It was 20, and that's good.
Hmm.
But like this
Right.
Hornaday, if you put it through some of the rifles, the SD can be in the 30s or 40s just because it's so
Yeah.
fast and a lot of guns don't like it. But the thing with the 100 grainers is none of those penalties show up until 1.5 second time of flight or right around 900 yards. So it's
Yeah.
fast, it's flat, it'll shoot what you need, and it it beats a lot of the better BC heavier bullets that guys shoot out of the 6.5 Creedmoor. And so that's why we're talking the 100 grainers and why Matt sees so much of the 100 grainers. But like he mentioned, you and I, back to the live, we like the 130s. The 130, I think, is a good place for the 6.5 Creedmoor. I think that 130
Yeah.
load gives you good speed versus BC. And
Right. Because it's right in the 2850 range in
yeah,
most guns.
and it does a good job. Now, to me personally, I think like with a lot of the 6.5 Creedmoor, I think the average bullet weight that should be going for that caliber should be a 136 area, 135, 136. We tend to go
Yeah.
140, and the 140 gives us that 25 feet per second. It takes it away that we could use it. It's just most
Yeah.
140s are just slow enough to be annoying
Yeah.
in factory, unless you hand load them. You know what I mean?
Yep.
In fact,
Right. Right.
in factory, they tend to be just off enough to bug you.
I won't put a 140 through a gas gun. Like I don't do it
Yeah,
because it's too slow.
yeah, they don't work
It's
right.
just it's boring.
And unfortunately, in class, that's probably the most common 6.5 Creed bullet that shows up is something in the 140 class.
Absolutely. Unless they're buying ammo from me, it's gonna be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. I mean, that's the smart thing is to ask first. But generally,
Yep.
most people come to class and don't. And
Hmm.
so it is the 140s, and then if they come in a gasser, then yeah, you got a problem. Uh, Speaking of gas guns, since you guys do a lot, 6 ARC still going strong.
6 ARC is going strong, although I will tell you, with that Black Arc munitions stuff, that he's putting out with the steel case, I've seen a lot of guys switch back to 223 because the increase they're getting um, from the steel case pushing the 77 grainers is making up a lot of what the guys were hoping to get out of the 6Rs.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the 6R the 6 millimeter bullet has got a higher BC. There's no doubt about that. But the whole problem is you just couldn't push a 77 grain bullet because 77 grain bullet gave you a decent BC. You just couldn't push it fast enough. So now you're getting, two, and in some guns almost 300 feet per second out of that
The
that steel case.
77s.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, yeah, 200 is a pretty modest number. I think it's pretty average. I have to look again, but everybody's pretty much getting 200 feet per second. So they're like, okay, well now we got something.
Right.
And since I started working with them, I sent them a couple thousand of the 80 and a halves, and said, hey, give this a try because that bullet was designed to go in a
gasser.
223.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now he's dropped those. So you got the 80 and a halves in those steel cases, and when you're pushing over 2,800 with an 80 and a half out of a 16, 18-inch freaking semi-auto, dude, you got a winning combo. Like, why would you go to a 6 mil, that potentially has feeding issues, potentially, you have to use a special magazine. You got to go to a new barrel. You're going to be into a new bolt. Like, you're doing all these things just to run this new cartridge when in all actuality, you could just keep your same gun you've always had,
Right.
same magazine you've always had, and all you're doing is you're pushing a new ammo from a new manufacturer.
No, and I agree.
That's kind of become the easy button answer.
That's definitely the way to go. I'm just, like I said, thinking as far as the pairing of the arc and the bolt gun stuff, but the 70, I mean, we know we could do this stuff safely and successfully to get the speed where we need it. It just kind of blows my mind at times that they know this needs speed and this doesn't. I mean, that the 80.5, when Federal killed all those 90 grain Valkyrie, now they sell it with the 80.5. That changed the game in the Valkyrie, even with a bolt gun. You know what I mean? And to me, it works much better. And I was surprised. I got one of the magazines in from wherever, just a recent one. Hang on one second. Let me mute me a second. Somebody keeps calling me over and over. So talk for a minute, Chris. The same person keeps calling me.
No problem.
Oh, no, they hung up. The same person keeps calling me, and I don't know why. But anyway, so
they're probably like, "Oh, he's on a live."
Well, no, but I think I think it's a delivery thing. It's a carrier company, but I don't have anything that I'm expecting except your ammo. And so I don't know if what happens is sometimes they go to the wrong place and they think they need the gate key to get here. So they think they're a block down from me that has the gates in front of it. So they'll be calling me asking
for the launcher that you ordered, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something. But anyway, no, but I'm putting together the change, but like I looked on the Valkyrie, on the Valkyrie, like Federal had an ad with like 6 different Valkyrie loads again, but they were all lighter. You know what I mean? But they had their fusion.
Oh, did they? I didn't see that.
Yes, and they had like 5 or 6 different boxes of Valkyrie ammo. And I was like, but they're doing all the really light, fast varmint stuff. And so
I might actually have to check it out, though.
Yes, the 80 works great.
Is when they came out with when they relaunched the Valkyrie, they relaunched it too slow.
Yes, well, we talked about that. Hang on. Cool. There we go. I'm gonna ask Laura to call them back and see what the fuck they want. But yeah, so no, I like the Valkyrie's dead, and I considered it dead, so I was gonna jump that gun. I'm right at the edge of nuking that barrel and all that, and it's a bighorn. All I have to do is change the bolt head. And what I want to do is I was looking at just switching over to the Arc instead of the Valkyrie, but there's so much back with the Valkyrie that works in that 80 grain you're talking about. It makes it's 2,900. Call that number back and see what they want, please. Yep, thanks. With the Valkyrie, the 80 grainer, an 80 grainer works great. And so, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. If you can do a 223 with the speeds Black Arc is getting with an 80
Mm-hmm.
grainer, like you said, there's no reason to change the bolt head or the bolt face. There's no reason to change the barrel out. There's
Yeah.
no reason to do all these other things if it'll go. If you got to go to at 5 because dinners and stuff, just let me know and jump off. It's almost 5 for you.
No. We're good.
Okay.
We're good.
But yeah, so I just didn't know, you know what I mean? I didn't know if like you're getting any feedback where people are getting sour on the arc a bit. Because I know there's 22 arc now,
Yeah.
and then there's 6.
Yeah. So I haven't seen a single 22 arc come through
No, me neither.
at all. No, I've seen. I still get a decent amount of 6 arcs come through. And I'll be honest with you, I cannot think of a single 6 arc that's come through that hasn't, at some point in time throughout the weekend, shown a cycling issue.
Okay.
Now, usually guys are able to get them up and running. I'm not saying like they won't run at all, but like at some point in time they'll have a cycling issue.
Yeah. And just
And
the
so
mag, and it just
that's my only. Yeah, it's a mag, or it's a something. Usually it's the mag. Usually that's it. And I will tell you, I'm not a 6 arc fanboy. I'm not hating on it by any means. I mean, it's definitely a good cartridge if you have one that runs good. Geisley makes the best 6 arc magazine. I don't know. I think I heard that they might be available now. I know that for a while there, the only way you could get the 6 arc their 6 arc magazine was if you bought their gun.
right.
Which I don't even know if their gun was available to buy outside of like military contract. I don't know. I don't want to spread bad information
Right. Yeah, I get you.
about it, but I know that that magazine was banger. It freaking cycled. It fed the 6 arc ammunition the way it needed to. But it was like unobtainium. It
Mm-hmm.
was like buying a CAC 7.62 mag for an SR-25.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like they were the ones to have, but you also were going to spend $225 on them.
Yeah.
And you couldn't find them. Like back when you could buy magazines on eBay, that kind of situation. So, but that's kind of my experience with it. It's funny because I actually bought a Seekins 6 arc like I don't know a year and a half ago, and I literally put 0 rounds through it and then ended up selling it because I was like, well, I'm gonna get this because I'm a future proof because I'm a Valkyrie guy. I love
Right.
Valkyrie. But I'm thinking like, okay, Valkyrie's going the way of the dodo bird eventually. And so, I'll get one of these, and then, when I need to, I'll switch over to it. And
Yeah.
then I just ended up selling
I was
it.
surprised that I should
I
go
was like,
find it,
I'm not ready.
but I was surprised the magazine came in and I'm flipping through and there was a federal ad full page and it was for Valkyrie
Mm,
ammo and there was God, I want to say at least 6 different boxes across the bottom. Everything from
mm.
like that bright colored fusion box to the black box to this box to the gold box. And I was like, "What? They're doing Valkyrie? Like that much of it after they
I
killed
mean,
it?"
so, I mean, for one, I mean, that's cool. I'm
Mhm.
glad. Maybe that means
Yeah, I think it's a
it's
lot of
gonna
the
hold on a little longer.
62. I think it's 80 grain and less. I think it's like 80 grain, 75 grain, 62 grain. I think it's a bunch of that. And it's all
Well, good,
advertised
because if they
for
drop an 85.5, I'm suing them.
right. Well, because we tried to do that. I mean, I know you went
Yeah,
and we
you
had
remember
that
that, right?
conversation. Yes, I remember that conversation that we and then
Yeah,
you went up there and had with them, and they were like, "No, we're
Federal, if
good."
you're listening right now, yep, it's happening.
Yeah.
FYI. No, I mean that's cool. That's cool. I'm glad. I'm glad to
No,
see
and
it.
and and like
I actually, so I spent some time with a 6 arc out in Oregon when I went out there to visit with Loophole guys, and dude, it was an easy shooter. It was an easy shooter. I could see why guys like it.
Well, we had the one class I did
But
with you together. One of the last one I want to say we had a 6 arc guy in only one in the Texas class. Then he came to the Guardian in Texas, remember? And he shot really well in that Guardian with that same gun. He had the gas gun. Um,
yes,
and he
yes.
shot the
Oh
Guardian,
goodness, what is his name?
skinny guy, older, not
Was he an oil guy?
probably, yes, money guy, I think, but a working man, yes. I don't want to say he had a lot of money, but but he was skinny, my age-ish, and had the 6 arc. He was
Yeah,
on the
I know who you're
end.
talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of his name.
But no, I thought he did very well with it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like I said, I'm still convinced. I think it's the easy button for some stuff. And I know in the AR world there's a lot of 6 arc and they're happy
hmm
in the plinker world, because like the funny thing is when I'm on
Yeah.
X and stuff, X is a completely different crowd than the comp and the shooters
Dude,
we deal with.
I have not cracked the code on X. I
Mean
cannot
I'm
make
not
any
either.
traction over there.
No, me neither, but I'm getting traction. Dude, you know what went viral on X on me?
Hmm.
And I didn't even know I was on, and I only go viral in small things. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, that makes sense.
yeah. But I mean, my account is actually getting better because I was shadow banned to the nth degree. And then when Elon comes in and they eliminated it, I
Yeah.
cleaned up my account and I started using it. Well, now
Sure.
I have like 8,000 subscribers over there, but it's a completely different crowd.
hmm
And so seeing what they do in the shooting stuff, like X shooting world, it's more of the goon squad guys, like the donut operator people.
Oh, okay.
It's his crew. And so you see,
Hmm.
they're the ones, they'll comment on the poors. They don't like, people who spend too much money. It's like we're poors and in this, but it's a different dynamic. So seeing where they are and
Yeah.
what gets their attention is interesting to me. What was
Hmm.
it, anything?
Yeah, that's
They didn't
interesting.
have nothing for your zip code. They had nothing for your name. They had nothing for Cyber Side. They just said it might have been a mistake.
Oh, I don't know. Somebody's trying to ship me something with no weird shit. Who knows what the hell it was? But they kept
You know
calling.
what it was, and yeah,
Yeah, it was it
we
was
all
it
know
was
what it
from
was.
gaycommando.com. I order a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff from there all the time.
hmm
So what else you guys got?
Laura, to your question, that's a tough one, and I do get that question from time to time. So Laura asked, how do we keep people from coming to our class and then doing basically nefarious things? Um, and that's something that we struggle with. So that could be said for shooting. That could be said for the drone stuff. That could be said for even commo, for that matter.
Yeah.
Um, it's hard. It's hard. It's not something we can control, and to any real degree. I actually saw Sean Ryan and who was it that was on his podcast? It was oh man, it was not that long ago, but they were talking about um, you shouldn't train. So, there was one guy was on there. And he's like, well, I don't agree with training anybody but military because this stuff. And Sean Ryan, I don't really like that guy's podcast a lot, but he was like, he's like, well, this is the U.S. and I don't believe in restricting information at all. And I think that to some degree that's the way Chris and I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're not just out there spreading, all the uh, um, confidential information that we've ever learned in the military to every single person we meet on the street by any means. But if it's open source information, it's open source information,
Right.
and we just have to pay attention to who are the people that we're talking to. Now we have put some stop gaps in place on our website. When you sign up for a course now, we make you identify yourself. And I think that probably has lost us a few customers. It probably,
That's not a bad
prevents
thing,
a
though.
few people from coming to the course. Yeah. But I mean, in the end, like at least that way we can make sure that they are U.S. citizens. So we don't have, the Chinese operative coming to the class as easily. But the truth of the matter is, if somebody wants to take a class and then they want to go and do something bad with the information that they learn in the course, I don't know how to stop that.
Yeah. And speaking of that, it just made me
unless we're just not going to teach classes.
Right. And that brings me, because you triggered a little piece. So the other day I was seeing the T-Rex kid, Lucas, was there, and he was asking, because he's I don't know what they call the new kids now. He's a skinny jean kid, and he admits it and says it. So the T-Rex
Yeah.
arms kid was asking if classes out on the range, physical classes, are dead because of this live, because of
Yeah.
the mentors, the videos, the fact that a kid like him grew up with guys like us on YouTube and gets to pick and choose and say, okay, I'm going to listen to that guy, not this guy. I'm going to watch all his videos and I'm going to come out of the gate new. Do you think classes are dead? I mean, not so much for guys our age, but do you think classes are dead with sort of the new crop of people because of online learning?
No.
Okay.
But to his point, and I don't know where he stood on this, but I'm just going to assume his standpoint was to some degree yes. Lucas is a very interesting subject, and that's because Lucas had the ability, financially, logistically, and everything else, to go and then the drive to go out and spend thousands of hours and tens of thousands of dollars training,
Right.
and building a skill set that the average person is not willing to do. Um, that what he does with a gun, and what he does. Sorry, I have to change my earbud because they're about to die on me.
Oh, no worries.
What he does with a gun and what he's done to build his skill set, he's done over many years, many hours, many range sessions, and most people aren't going to do that.
Yeah, right. No, I get it.
They'd rather rely on a guy like you and I, who has amassed that skill set, that information from years of experience.
This is
and then go spend a
skateboard.
weekend with him.
Think
to
about the
learn it.
12-year-old, a 12-year-old who
Yeah.
picks up a skateboard and never stops.
Right.
Then he turns into Tony Hawk. Well, now take that same 12-year-old, put him in Tennessee and give him a rifle and let him go on video and watch everything in a backyard with acres that nobody's paying attention, and see what he comes out of the woods like in 5 years. That's what we did, right? We were little kids playing Army in the woods. But I didn't have YouTube. I had Soldier of Fortune magazine. I had John Wayne on TV, and our imagination with cartoons and all that. You guys had a little bit of social media and video coming up, but you had classes that were bigger than gun. You had more people than Gunsight. So you can go within 4 hours of where you live and take a class. You didn't have to fly to Arizona.
Right.
Well, now turn your phone on.
Sure.
And if you have that same drive,
I mean, I think it's changing. I think so. I think the answer is yes and no. I mean, I think you can. The answer is yes. Training the way we are doing it is dead if people want it to be. Because you can just absolutely pick up your phone and go and learn. I mean, we are building online classes right now.
Right.
You and I are building online. So that way the people who want to consume their information that way can.
I mean,
but the people who don't want to consume their information that way, who value learning it in person, also can still do that. I mean, for right now, I have actually one of the text messages I got while on this podcast was from a student who took the online class and
Right.
then took the in-person
Yes,
class.
then goes to the next level.
You
No,
know?
but you think about it. The first paid online class I posted was in 2009.
Yeah.
That was the first rifles only Frank Snipers High joint online classes. I still have some of the videos with Jacob and I. And all I was doing, because I was living there, was transitioning the class of rifles only to put it into the forum to have people pay for that forum section and that. And I agree. Like once
Right.
you need somebody, because one, you're never going to set yourself up to fail. You don't know what you can't see. And a lot of people plateau, or if you miss something or incorrectly interpret it, it becomes a training scar. So you always need that extra
Yep.
set of eyes or the professional eyes to look at you. And I don't think that will replace that. Now it becomes a question of the value for the individual, the convenience for the individual, and then, the money. But yeah, I mean,
Sure.
you have to be able to come to that person or have that person come to you easily. How much are they going to spend? Can they spend it? Can they take the time off? Which is weird because today I feel nobody works like consistently.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean? I
that's
think
true.
like the whole work
Yeah.
thing got blown up in a way with
It's a
COVID.
gig economy.
Yes, we're number one. Hey, if I don't want to work Friday, I ain't working Friday. I'll work a couple extra hours here, a
Right.
couple extra hours, and I'm gonna tell them I ain't coming in Friday. And depending if I have an
Sure.
office job, I could probably even extend that more. But I feel people have more time, but maybe not
Mhm.
using that time very well, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, like I said, it's a gig economy. It's different than it used to be. I mean, there's still plenty of people out there who are grinding away at 9 to
Oh,
5,
absolutely.
but
I get that. And I'm not
for the
putting those.
average person or for a
Yeah.
lot of people these days, it's they're bouncing from thing to thing. They're making their money you know,
But
through odd jobs
even
and
the big
side hustles.
corporations are doing all this weird creative payment, hours, and so we can maximize this and minimize that. And it's a lot of this,
Mhm.
like I said, 4 day a week stuff. And it's just I just
Yeah.
feel that the time should be better for people to come to a class. But with the
Yeah.
economy and in the way things are right now, people are hurting. So we see there's about a quarter of the students that are missing right now, and so,
Yeah. And that's definitely a thing.
but that was a
I know
Biden
our course
economy
attendance.
thing. That was the economy broke them. That wasn't anything you or I did or any other instructor did. That was the
No.
economy broke people, and it's a lot harder to justify your wife. You're going away for 5 days and spending this much money to go shoot guns in the woods. And so
Sure.
I think the Biden economy really hurt people, and that's where we saw the massive downturn.
Right, right. Well, yeah, I mean, there was the argument from a lot of people on one side. Well, you're making more money than you ever were before, and it's like, yeah, I mean, true, but I also have higher bills than I ever did before, and
Mhm.
higher inflation than I ever did before, and higher interest rates than I ever did before. So, although I may be making more money than I ever did before, I'm seeing less from that money, and
Yeah.
that's true across the board.
Right, even
And
just a plane
yes,
flight to go do a
attendance
class.
fell off because of it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, and honestly, I mean, with Trump coming into office, I don't see that changing a ton. Um, I mean, hopefully inflation will come down. Hopefully interest rates will come down, and that will level off that way. But the
Mhm.
truth of the matter is like it's cyclical to some extent.
Yeah, and
So
they broke it
it's
hard
it's not
enough.
an easy button answer.
No, they broke it
Yeah.
hard enough. It's gonna be at least 6 months to a year for the recovery to even show. So it's gonna be down, 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 down. Okay, now we'll fix. Because they broke it too
Right.
hard. They went, like they said,
Well, yeah.
they were throwing the gold bars off the Titanic literally. And so when he showed up, they had talking points to say he sucks, you know.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean it wasn't until what the third year of his presidency that things
yes.
got good,
Hmm.
you know,
And then they kicked us
and
with
then
COVID,
COVID
right?
kicked us all in the dick.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like
No.
yeah.
But I don't know
So
where. So okay, it's New Year. It's March, right? First week of March. We're getting ready to do classes. Where's your trends? What are you looking at? Where you going with? I mean, like we talked on the drones. We talked on your light fighter. That I really think a well-rounded light fighter is smart. You know, for what you're doing there.
well, so you know that's kind of the future for CR2 is, you know, we're branching out a little bit. You know, we've always, well, at least this is the way that I view things, is we've always kind of tried to have a more well-rounded approach to our training. We try not to be hyper focused um, into one thing. And I know for a while there we were just teaching precision rifle classes as far as a lot of people were concerned. But even our precision rifle classes, we think, or at least I think, that we take a different approach to precision rifle than the average person. You know, the difference between a fundamentals class and the shot process approach itself
Mm-hmm.
is a different way of thinking.
What's the
You know,
What's the A in the
we
Army's
even
shot process? I forget the A. What was the A? Is it just actions?
aim
Aiming.
is
Okay,
aim.
aiming. All right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't remember the A the
Stability,
other day.
aim.
I'm like I'm on a
Yeah.
podcast and I said the Army does smack, and then I'm like, what's A? And I couldn't remember the A.
Nah. Stability, aim, control, movement.
There you go.
Um, but
I
you know,
put movement
as
up though.
a lot of people probably have noticed, you know, in the last, here I'll move back so it focuses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we went to that logo a couple years back because you know, that's the pillars of what we stand for. It's not just marksmanship, but it's, you know, it's observation and it's communication. And so that's kind of where we're going with CR2 is trying to be a more well-rounded organization and teach more well-rounded skill sets. So over the next year, we're we're pushing hard on the online classes. We're going to be running more light fighter courses. So during the summer, we're probably not going to run a lot of courses, just because anybody who's lived in the South knows it's miserable, and so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
nobody really wants to train down here when it's that hot. And then, but so throughout the spring, we have some courses, and then we'll probably pick back up again in the, you know, in the fall, late summer, that time frame. So we're at light fighter courses, but then we have our mountain rifleman course. You know, actually this month, at the end of this month, we'll be out in Cameo, Colorado, obviously, for that mountain rifleman course. We do have a precision rifle course. Actually on the books right now, just a basics precision rifle course that will be at uh, at AGI, which is the same place that we're running the light fighter course at now.
Got it.
So
Got it.
anybody who's been around the Fort Benning area, which it is Fort Benning again, by the way.
Yes. Totally.
It's just a different Fort Benning.
Right, it's a different first name guy, right? It's a different different. It's not the
Yeah.
Confederate
So
Benning. It's a
it's
Union Benning
no.
or something. Isn't it like a PFC or something?
Yeah, something like that. I
Yeah,
don't know.
but it's
I
Benning,
didn't
so who
read the
cares,
whole.
right?
Yeah. So
Quick.
Hegseth was like, you know what? I'm going to find people at all these bases where the names are changed that have the same name, so we can rename it after them.
There you go. Hey, why not, right?
Apparently, Bragg's brag again. So yeah. That's just.
I have a side. I don't know if I should even go here, but I just have one question because you brought up Sean Wyand's podcast. Did you see the Haley one? Or any clips from it, Travis?
Travis Haley?
Yeah.
I probably saw some clips. Yeah.
I was just wondering if you saw where the PTSD part. No, we'll have to talk offline then. No, it's super sensitive, but I was just wondering if you saw it, because it struck me as odd for a second, but I was just wondering if somebody else saw it.
I may have, and
Well,
I just don't
put it
know.
this way,
Thought about it, but yeah,
go
we can talk about it offline.
if you see that clip of him, they have like a 3-minuter where he's
Okay.
talking about stuff in Iraq. If you see that, text me what you think of it, because I had a
Okay.
question, but it seemed off, but I don't know. Anyway, so
All
yeah,
right.
no,
Yeah, I'll
that's
check it
good
out.
though. Yeah, no, it's no big deal. But no,
Yeah. So
like I
yeah,
said.
we got those courses coming up. Anybody who's interested, we still have slots in both of them. I think we're sitting around 12 students for mountain riflemen right now.
Oh, nice.
But we do take more students in that course just because we don't run it as often. So we'll let that one fill up a little bit more. So that out there, plus Cameo, it's such a big venue.
Right.
It really
You
can
could
have
put people
more
on both
people at
sides of
that
the
course.
street, and they would never interact if they wanted.
Right. Yeah, I think we had 20 students at one of the courses, and it
Well, wasn't there
was
like
a
18 in the
little bit.
joint? A 16, 18 in the joint one?
Yeah, something like
It
that.
was pretty high, like
So
16, I think, 18.
yeah, and actually at this one here, I know we had like I want to say 4 dudes from a sniper section out at Carson,
Mm-hmm.
and then another dude from the Air Force sniper section coming out. So like even of the 12 that we have coming out to this course, some of those guys they're
Yeah,
already switched on.
yeah.
So like
Nick, when
I'm not gonna have to give them as much effort. Yeah, Nick is coming out
right,
with a
he
bunch of his
crossed
guys.
over and
So
brought a bunch of his guys up to Fort Morgan. But yeah, he's got a whole crew over there now, all younger dudes. So
yep,
that's good.
yep,
Yeah,
yep, yep.
yeah.
Those guys are all coming out.
Awesome.
So yeah, they're gonna be easy to deal with. So they're not gonna take away too much from some of the other guys that need help. So that'll be a good course.
Yeah,
And
no, it sounds
we're
really
looking
good. We'll
forward to it. So
visit a
yeah,
bit.
that's kind of what we're looking at.
Awesome. Yeah, I gotta like I said, Chris and I got stuff on the books. I gotta start advertising it more. And we only have like 2 or 3 cameos for the year. We're not doing much, but we are going next week or 2 weeks to go do the Waltz Ultimate Hunter Challenge. So
Nice.
we'll be set up for that. And that's kind of where I've been right now, is working that 6.5 PRC hunting rifle, and then playing around. And then we're doing the high mount thing. He's got Andy Hawkins is going to make like 2.0 mounts for people. So
Okay.
yeah, well, you know what? It works. It's a weird thing. I wish
Yeah.
we did a live the other day, but he brought a completely different rifle, and its
Hmm.
balance wasn't the same. So when I went live and he shot, the gun recoiled different. I'm like, what happened? And he's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's a different rifle, different this. I'm like, the other one was dead perfect and demonstrated everything we wanted to show. Then the new rifle, he had to find the perfect balance point, because the rifle, it's more of a
Yeah.
comp one. It's got the foundation stock, and just for whatever reason, it wanted to tip. And so I don't know if he might have needed a little more weight on the front. I'm not sure where he had it balanced, but
Okay.
that was the other thing. My range might be going the way, or should be going the way of the Dodo soon. They're
Oh,
at some point they leased it to solar.
no way.
3,000 acres of solar. So they told them do business as usual
Those
for
mother.
now, but I'm going to lose it. I'm going to move. I'm not going to stick around in Colorado if I lose when the range is done.
Oh, oh,
I know. I came and paid him,
the
and
end of an era.
yeah, I gave him a check, and then he rolled up, and he's like, "About your check," and I'm like, "What?" And then he's about that. I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "Well, we're good for now, but I don't know how long we're good. They have between like now and 5 years to start doing something, and they don't have a timeline. And they told him to continue
Oh,
business as usual, but between now and the next 5 years, 3,000 acres of solar." He said they gave him so much money
that's,
he couldn't turn it down. He said they've been bugging him for years, and he told me that years ago. He said that he might put solar out, and he goes, "Yeah, they're offering a lot of money." And then this time he goes, the money went up so high. I can't blame the guy. He's like, so
yeah. You got to look out for your future.
Oh yeah, I mean, why not, right? And so I'll just move. Colorado's gone to hell. It's communist. I don't need to be here. And I told him, I said, the only reason
were you and I talking about that last time we were out there, Wyoming?
Yes. Well, I'm thinking Kansas. If I go, I think I'm going to jump into Kansas.
Really? You just want to look at nothing, don't you?
Well, rains, room for you here in Arizona. Yeah, Arizona's nice. I would do, except you guys border on potential communists too, Corey. So you scare me in Arizona as well. I know you probably won't go anti-gun, but you have that whole Katie Hobbs I don't trust thing. So I see Corey, but
yeah,
I think I might go do Kansas if I do, though. I don't know, because then like Iowa, because Laura's Iowa, right? So I don't need to go too far from Iowa. And I could go to Iowa and use Sure Shot or use one of those, but I don't know. I think I might back off a little east instead of going a little west. So who knows? End of an era, like you said.
Okay.
That range is there, but
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love that range. And I said to Kevin, I said, this is the only reason I'm in this state because this place is so good. And he goes, I know. He goes, the only reason I'm still here too is because I own the property. And I said, yeah, I get it.
Jeez.
Yep. Cool, man. What else?
I tell you, man, we're really lucky because me and you talked about it year and a half or so ago about me trying to get AGI. Well, what's AGI now? But and it just didn't work out or whatever. And then a buddy of mine is the one who ended up getting it. So now I got a place. It's closer to me than your range is to you,
which is awesome, right?
Yeah, Eli's got to know I'm on Eli. He's got to know I'm on a live. I know he does. He's got to know.
Who's over in the corner you talking to?
I'm talking to you.
Oh! I thought you were showing
my computer's right here.
Oh, you were looking over to the side. I'm like, who are you talking to? I thought you had somebody in the room with you.
You are over here.
Got it. I got
it. He's got to know. He's got to know I'm on a live stream.
Oh yeah, I'm
but
sure.
Anyways. Man. But yeah, so now I got
Corey Trapp's asking a question, Chris. Do you have any tips on getting an Autel Max 4T working in the UAS tool?
A Max? Okay, Autel Max 4T. Okay. Look, let's talk about the Autel Max 4T.
Okay.
So we're gonna sidebar for a minute, Corey, and then we're gonna Corey, right?
Yeah, Corey.
Okay, we're gonna sidebar and then we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna try to keep this quick because we do need to wrap it up before too much longer. I just bought an Autel Max 4T.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's a $9,000 drone, and it malfunctioned in its first flight. Within 30 seconds, it was on the ground.
Ouch.
In pieces.
In pieces.
Well, I mean
prop is pieces. I get it.
Props are pieces, but yeah, the gimbal was smashed.
Ooh.
And it went completely non-responsive. If you know anything about these drones, they have amazing obstacle avoidance. They can hover in place, everything else like that. So when you lift a drone off, immediately let off the sticks, and it starts to drift, that's not something good. Because they're not supposed to drift. And they're definitely not supposed to drift to one side, drift to the other, drift back to the first direction, and then spin 360 and smash into a wall. So I am really not happy with Autel right now, especially since they gave me a runaround. Then they only fixed my drone because I had the $2,000 Autel care. And then now I'm being refunded, but I'm getting a hassle because they actually sent back a nicer package than I bought, which meant that it had a different SKU. So
is that drone big enough it'll carry me?
Probably.
Yeah, I would think.
Basically every feature that you would want in a drone it had, though.
Yeah, Corey says his works great. And sorry, Laura, I didn't see your question. I missed it. I wasn't on these ones to see whatever. Laura had a question too. I missed it. But yeah, Corey says his is working great. So if you want to contact Corey at Gunsight,
look up Autel Max 4T crash, and you're gonna find some alarming stuff, because I'm not the only one, and this is something I didn't know until I was like, what is going on right now? There's some other stuff on there that when mine happened, I was finding stuff as recent as 7 days before that.
ouch.
I watched a video of a guy's just fall out of the sky. It was amazing. It was alarming, really. Like his controller just went black, and then it falls out of the sky. He has it on video. It was crazy. So, but what's crazy is, like, Chris has an Autel that's like 3 or 4 years old, and we use it in class, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It's what we do all our survey missions with. So you're having problems with connecting it to Pix 4D, you said?
He says getting to work with the UAS tool. They have a software problem for sure. He said, a UAS tool. I don't know what the tool is, so I couldn't elaborate. He just wrote.
Yeah.
He's saying they have a software issue. He's on the Hide one. He's on Sniper's Hide in the chat in the Hide, and so I missed that. The ATA.
I don't think I have an easy answer for you.
Okay, ATAK.
Send me a message.
Yeah, he says reach out to him in email.
Send me a message, and if I can't give you an answer, I will get Chris involved, and he can definitely help you out, because we have that working, but I don't think I have an easy answer for you on this live stream.
Cool, man. Yeah, just Corey at Gunsight. So if you get a hold of Corey, you could reach out to him. He's over there. Cool, man. Yeah.
What did Laura ask?
Oh, you already answered it about people being terroristic. You already you answered her way back. I didn't. She didn't hear it. She walked on something and missed it when you said to her, but you answered her direct. He says he'll send you a note on the Hide.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, he'll get you on the perfect. Corey, he'll get you. All right, man. It was a great podcast, man. Great little live. This was stable and worked really well. This was the first time I did it this way. I know but I'll show you I'll pull it up right now, Chris, and tell you where to find it. If you go, I believe in your options. Nope, it is in your output. Go into your eCam in output. Just install the virtual eCam. Don't install the audio one. And then once you install the virtual eCam, your eCam will then be available to all of these different apps as its own camera. So your eCam system will look like mine. I'm using it right now. So that's what I'm using through this. So
yeah.
Thanks, Corey. Okay. Yeah, this was a different way of doing the feed. I did a different way of doing it today because it was dropping Facebook. It was dropping X. It was dropping everything but like YouTube. And so this time I'm simulcast to Facebook, YouTube, and the Hide. And we had no drops and no hiccups. And it was a different way of me doing it. So I'm glad that this one worked now and everything. So everybody, thank you for watching. Thanks for commenting. These are evergreen. You can find them on the Hide if you only missed a piece of it. We don't delete them. They stay, and you can watch them and scrub through them and do whatever you have to. There you go. Say hi to Gun Stories. You know, Corey, one time, so Joe, Godfather Joe, I was in Connecticut working in Greenwich, and Greenwich is fancy. And so he had just come off the train, I guess. I'm guessing he took the train, but there is a parking lot there. He may have parked, but my guess he came off the train from New York. And so Joe was walking up the road with one of his production or one of his assistants, and they were gaming what he was going to say on a TV show that night, his spontaneous story. He was gaming and I was walking like right behind him and laughing. I didn't say nothing to him. Normally I'll like say, hey, Joe, or, whatever, because he was a Godfather guy. But yeah, so he was gaming their spontaneous stories.
There we go. Look at that.
Are never spontaneous. Did it change it? Yes, there it went.
Look at that.
And it just went.
Oh my gosh. figures. Why didn't you tell me that earlier, man?
Oh, I did, but we were busy.
This whole time we've had jacked up video, and now I'm crispy in the freaking last couple seconds.
That's all right. You look good though, and it sounds good. We'll get it. We'll get it. But now we know. Now you know, and now this will work.
Has anybody noticed?
No, nobody noticed. I was just telling.
No, the new me.
Right. No, TV's never unscripted. He's right. No, it's just funny because all the celebrities used to be in Greenwich, and I would see them. I drove Michael Bolton out of a bar one night because I was drinking pretty hard with a bunch of people. There was probably like 8 of us, and Michael Bolton was in there, and I kept making fun of Michael Bolton's hair. And he finally left the bar because I was singing shit loud, and it was at the time where I would actually know a Michael Bolton song on the top of my head. So I would like randomly scream Michael Bolton shit, and he got upset with me, and he left. All right, cool, man. Thanks for being on. Thanks for everybody. Appreciate y'all. Thanks, guys. Yep. We'll talk. And now you know you got the virtual cam and how that works. Whenever you do a Zoom or anything, you use the virtual. Sorry, man. I didn't think
virtual cam.
I thought the reason I didn't tell you to hit it then is I thought you had to restart everything after you did it.
Well, and I forgot too. I have a monitor I can put on top of my camera so that way I can look at you while I'm talking. Because this whole time I've just been staring into the dark.
Yeah.
Because you know I got all my other lights off so that way I can have proper lighting. And so but you're on my laptop, and you know I didn't put my monitor over there. So it's just been boring. That's why I've been like looking over here like a dork.
Yeah, but you do look good. And honestly, on the phone, you didn't look as flat as you did on the computer. On my phone, when I was watching you, you had a different pop, so you didn't look as flat. But now you know.
Oh, because the phone auto corrects probably.
Yes, it did, I think.
So hopefully everybody was watching this on their phones. If
cool,
not,
man.
It's Frank's fault.
All right, cool, man. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you guys after. Oh.